So please welcome Rachel Lauren Storm.
Good evening. Out of the Mouths of Babes is a summer youth media project where kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old are chaperoned to arts and cultural events in the Champaign-Urbana area. They review them on a weekly radio show airing on WRFU 104.5, broadcast from the Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center. The idea was concocted back in 2011 when my then boyfriend and I discussed wanting to do a project together. He wanted to do a radio show, I wanted to do a youth program, and unlike most arguments between couples, we both won. I was inspired to make it a program that introduced kids to arts and culture after attending an experimental gong performance by Tetsuya Nakatani, where among crowds of stoic adults, I couldn't help but be drawn to this one young child whose arms were in the air, engaged in some bizarre interpretive dance the whole time. I thought to myself, kids are so damn weird. And I mean that in the best of ways. They really don't care what you think about them. They will run on stage at a music show, arms flailing behind them, just because they can. But that's what makes them amazing art critics and great radio personalities. Their urge to be near art, to move with it, to learn about it with an openness that adults have been trained to no longer tap into. And that's what we set to capture with Out of the Mouths of Babes. In 3 years, and with the help of some amazing friends, the kids in our program have met dozens of local artists, musicians, performers. They've witnessed exhibits, theater, and cultural celebrations, often trying their hands at all sorts of artistic mediums, things like puppetry and step dancing, stargazing, and electronic dance music composition. We wanted to bring them places to witness arts that youth don't often get a chance to see, things like microtonal music shows, art interpretation workshops, and local house theater. As a diversity education project, we strive to showcase a variety of artistic mediums through a wide array of cultures, both within and beyond our borders. One Saturday afternoon, for example, they raided the IMC's costume closet, where people can check out costumes for free, and they took to the streets of Urbana with composer Susan Parenti on accordion. They clowned around town with the only goal to get people laughing, as they'd learned earlier that day that laughing is some serious medicine. When they were at the Mashekwa exhibit at Krannert Art Museum, an installation that consisted of lots of odds and ends all over the floor of a gallery space, they began to describe cities and roads and people. Well, as it turns out, they saw in the abstraction the intention of the artist. He'd been mapping his own South African town, one so small it had never been formally mapped. The youth correspondents learned all about citizen journalism and the idea that ordinary people, and most importantly, ordinary kids, can make radio. They learn news, explore conducting interviews, and host mini press conferences. They take diligent notes and complete activities to learn how to produce their own show, and they do it all as young as 5 years old. Most of all, they learn how to critique and interpret what they are seeing with openness and confidence. And boy, are they confident. Kids are some seriously ruthless critics. They will tell you straight up, to your face, that your art is terrible, that your music is too loud, or in this case, that your delicately prepared ceremonial tea is absolutely disgusting. But the truth is, their honesty is refreshing. They don't sugarcoat it because the only sugar they care about is the kind they wish was in the tea. And when they love something like the 3D printer at Makerspace or the taste of Navajo fry bread, they go on and on and on about how awesome it is. We'll see how many start asking their parents for $3,000 3D printers after this summer. But in all seriousness, when we think about educating our youth, it becomes important not to educate them on the world, but to show them their own power within it. I recall our youth visiting a mixed media exhibit that included work by an artist who'd incorporated the addresses of her children's homes in maps of her work. She was brought to tears when one of our youth correspondents shared with her that the roads on the map looked like strings attaching them all together since they were loving each other across distance. And once we took the kids to a West African drum and dance class with Jabril Kamara. They listened to Jabril talk about his own childhood and falling in love with dance. Kids who claimed they didn't like to dance were all up and moving within the first 10 minutes and down for the count by the end. By the way, Jabril Kamara can out-energy a pack of 6-year-olds and not even break a sweat while doing it. And just last week, the youth ventured to Makerspace Urbana. They met with local artists to explore creating music and amplification using electronic waste, things like discarded computer parts or old rotary dial phones and hard drives. Well, by the end of it, Champaign-Urbana had a very brand new DJ Joshua. Every Saturday is a field trip with Out of the Mouths of Babes, and by the end of the summer, the kids are talking directly and excitedly about everything they've seen, making it a program that builds communication skills, relationships, self-esteem. We've had many a shy first-timer become talkative pro over the course of the summer. And I think it's because something happens when kids hear their own voices on the radio. One theory is that they're better able to think of the people on the radio not as some distant superstar, but as real people. Of course, another theory is that they now see themselves precisely as superstars and exclusively, and either way, they see new possibilities in digital media, and that's what's important to us. But I do have to level with you. This is more than field trips and audio recordings. Youth media is a movement aimed at helping young people develop digital media skills that will amplify their voices and their power as a younger generation engaged and responsive to their own communities. We're growing citizen journalists with Out of the Mouths of Babes, who will not only develop speaking and writing skills that will help them succeed in life, but who will see that they are the media. When our TVs and radios are telling stories of crime and war and violence, they are a handful of kids that are using their own voices to shine a light on the artistic genius and creative cultural organizing happening in our own neighborhoods and communities to address those very issues. And we need them. We need their vision, their perspectives, and their engagement. We need them armed with audio recorders and notebooks, carefully gathering our stories and sharing them. We need them to see creative and innovative thinking as critical cultural work. And most of all, we need them to see those abilities in themselves. Thank you.